Pag binabasa ko, wag mong i-off yung sound, kailangan meron pa rin background music ng konti. Pero saan magandang gabi po mga katipon sa Pilipinas. Ito po ang ating katipunan na muling sumasa inyo mga tagapakinig upang magbigay ng mahalagang impormasyon, magbigay liwanag at higit sa lahat makinig sa inyong mga daing at puro-puro hinggil sa mga problemang patuloy na nagpapahirap sa ating kalagayan at kabuhayan. Sa susunod na oras o 2 oras, isikapin po namin ipaliwanag ang iba-ibang bahagi ng ating ekonomiya at ang mga bigat na local and international issues na may malaking epekto sa ating buhay at kinabukasan. Ito po ang inyong katipon na si Butch Valdes, kasama ang ating co-host na si Valdes. Kasama na rin ang ating mga ibang katipon dito sa Save the Nation Movement at Partido Politikal ng Katipunan Demokratiko ng Philippine. Narito po sila Ver at si Roxana nag-aanaya sa inyo na makibahagi sa ating talakayan sa pagsusuri ng mga kasalukuyang problema at paghahanap ng kaukulang solusyon. Okay, ngayon pong gabi mayroon tayong mga tatalakayin na hindi po makakaiba dito sa mga iba-ibang mga pinag-usapan natin sa nakaraang linggo. Ngunit as a matter of updating you, kung ano na ang developments dito sa pangyayari dito sa napaka-interesadong, ang buong mundo po ay nakatutok dito sa eleksyon ng bansang Amerika. Naghalalan sila noong November 3 dahil sa napakaraming mga aligasyon ng dayaan at napakarami pong tunay na dayaan na nangyari na hindi po malaman kung as of now kung sino po ang talagang Pangulo ng Estados Unidos. Alam niyo na po kung sino ang magiging Pangulo ng Estados Unidos. Siya rin ang magbibigay sa atin ng idea kung ano ang patakbo ng ating mga ekonomiya, ng ating politika at kung saan papunta ang bansa, ang mundo. Kasi po mayroong mga grupo diyang gustong mag-umpisa ng gera. Yung isang grupo naman nangangako siya na hindi magkakagera. Yung mga iba naman gusto nilang magpapapalit ng mga rehimen, yung mga tinatawag na regime change. Yung isa naman sinasabi niya, pinapangako niya walang regime change. Yung iba, ang kanilang patakaran na sa abortion ay pabor sila sa abortion hanggang late term abortion. Gusto sabihin 9 months na, pwede mo pang pa-abort. Ang abort po, alam niyo na po yan. Papatayin mo yung bata sa loob ng womb ng nanay, no? Maski na ready nang lumabas para mapanganak. No? Yung kabila naman, ayaw na yan dahil pro-life siya. Ang tinutukoy ko dito sa pro-life tsaka no regime change ay walang iba kundi si President Donald Trump. Yun namang kampi sa abortion, no? At kampi sa regime change at kung ano pa, no? Ay ito naman si Biden, si Joe Biden. Pero apparently ngayon, dahil nga sinabi nung sa eleksyon na nanalo daw si Biden, ang dami pong mga mamayan ng Amerikano na sinasabi hindi po talagang nanalo yan at nagdaya. At maraming mga dokumentong lumalabas, kanya nakasalang na po sa mga korte, pati na ang Korte Suprema na isali na dito at titignan natin kung saan papunta ito. Dahil hindi na maiiwasan na ang inauguration ng bagong Pangulo is going to be on January 20. So kailangan malaman na talaga, madidesisyonan na kung sino talaga ang nanalo. Ito po ang napaka-importanting pag-uusapan natin ngayon. Nagbibigyan namin kayo ng mga iba-ibang mga news clips at videos to give you an idea what also we have been watching. Isa pang papag-usapan natin itong very controversial vaccine na nakaka-lumbala sa pag-iisip ng mga halos lahat ng sangkatauhan ngayon, no? All over the world, no? They are apprehensive on whether or not to take the vaccine. As of now, there has been no move officially to make it mandatory in the United States. I don't understand why there is talk of making that mandatory here in the Philippines. Kasi it should be a choice of the people whether they will get the vaccine or not. We will discuss this, and we will also show you some clips with regard to this. Itos?
Yeah, again, magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat, and thank you for continuing to support ang Ating Katipunan. As Chairman said, we continue to update and show to our members of the Katipunan Democratic Filipino and those who are members of the who continue to watch our live streams on Facebook and on DZXL RMN network. So we appreciate that. But again, we'd like to emphasize lahat ng nakikita nyo dito kasi hindi po pinapalabas at hindi nababalita sa mga mainstream media na tinatawag natin. None of the local news, wala po kahit dyaryo, kahit radyo, kahit TV po dito sa Pilipinas. Ang binabalita po namin dito, hindi nila binabalita, hindi nyo makikita yan kahit saan. Dito lang po. Because we're the only ones who put out different reports, news items, updates, videos, pictures, and historical, backed up by historical fact and all of that. Dito lang sa Ating Katipunan.
Officially as a online television channel.
Yes, yes.
Kasi po itong mga lumalabas din naman sa mga Facebook, itong mga iba-ibang mga issues. But they put it together and we discuss it in the way and comment on this in the way we do it here. No? How you'd expect the so-called mainstream media to be discussed this. Pero ayaw po nilang i-discuss. Hindi lang po dito sa Pilipinas, sa Amerika din, yung mainstream media ayaw nilang i-discuss.
Yes.
Pero meron din mga ibang mga online channels katulad ng Newsmax,
Right Side Broadcasting Network,
Right Side,
OANN, One American News Network.
OANN,
Yeah.
that's right.
So, ang
Blaze TV.
Nakikita niyo at iba pa, no? Pero nakikita niyo po doon, maski na nandun kayo sa Amerika, kailangan hanapin niyo rin. But just to show, gaano ka-popular na itong mga channel na sa YouTube and Facebook and yung mga alternative news networks na tinatawag natin. During mga live events po, mas mataas pa po yung rating nila kaysa sa Fox, CNN at lahat na. So mas mataas pa sa US ang ratings ng mga tinatawag nilang maliliit na network.
Kaysa dun sa MSM.
kaysa dun sa CNN and Fox. Bagsak na po yung rating nila. Kasi ang mga Amerikano, pag wala nang tiwala sa inyo, hindi na sila manonood. Dito lang yata yung tuloy.
Dahil meron alternative. Dito, nag-uumpisa pa lang ng alternative media. No? At nasanay na kasi tayo dito sa mainstream media natin, kaya doon tayo natututok. But naniniwala po kami na kung magbibigay ka ng katotohanan
Right.
at walang kinikilingan na stasyon, no?
Right.
At bigay mo yung tunay na nangyayari, susuportahan ka ng tao at panunuorin ka. At ginagawa natin itong Katipunan Channel bilang isang vehicle to be able to convey the truth, no? And to educate our people.
Yes. So one of those is ano ba talaga ang nangyayari dito sa US election? Dati-dati po, pag nag-eleksyon November 3, the next day po, meron na. Or meron ng mga 90% na pumapasok. Tapos yung isang kandidato, usually nagko-concede.
Right.
Sasabihin nila, okay, tama na yung bilang, concede na ako, talo na po ako. Tatawag yan, tinatawag na concession call. So yung natalong kandidato, tatawag na yan sa kabila. Kabilang party o kabilang kalaban niya, sabi niya, oh, good job, congratulations, okay na ako. Tapos, may konting bilang pa ng konti para pero tapos na. Admit na, talo na ako.
Concede.
Concede
na yung isa.
Ang problema dito sa US elections ngayon, it has no president. It has a president in terms of may protesta sa election results, but not widespread. Kasi po ang nakita niya, tulad ng sinabi ni Chairman kanina, is yung pandaraya hindi limitado sa isang estado, kundi sa buong United States. Tinatawag nilang widespread.
Kasi ang suspecha, ang ginamit dito, yung ginagamit nila dito noon.
Yes.
Yung Smartmatic tsaka Dominion.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Parang tayo naging practice ground nitong mga ito.
Right.
At pinagandaan na gagamitin nila ngayon sa bansang Amerika.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
At itong natuklasan.
Yes.
Huli sila. At magagaling po yung mga abogado doon.
Yes.
Mas magaling di hamak sa mga abogado natin dito.
Tsaka matapang.
Matatapang at hindi bayaran. Hindi yung ayusan, di ba? Talagang ilalaban nila dahil mga patriotiko po sila. No?
Kung ano yung tama.
Mga ibang abogado kasi wala silang pakialam sa katotohanan, basta ayusan, ganyan. Kaya hindi na po abogado yon, broker na lang yon, no?
Yes.
Fixer ang tawag doon. Pero may kita nyo po dito sa hinahangaan nating sitwasyon sa mga abogado sa bansang Amerika, maninindigan sila, no? At pagmamahal sa bansa, katulad nitong si Sidney Powell, sabi na, hindi ako kay Donald Trump, wala akong utang sa kanya at wala akong
I don't
work for him, I don't owe him anything. But I want this for our country, and I'm doing this for our country. Madalang po tayo makahanap ng ganyan na abogado. Ayaw ko kung meron kayong abogado na nalalaman na dito ganyan, no?
Saka matalino, magaling,
matapang, no? So, anyway.
So, and you mentioned Sidney Powell, and we have a video, an interview with Sidney Powell na yung latest. Kailangan po malaman natin. So, may mga kaso po na inakyat dito sa eleksyon sa US. Habang nangongolekta pa kasi sa dami-dami po na nakita nilang pandaraya sa iba't ibang mga lugar sa US, tapos statewide. Tapos nakita pa nila binibilang yung boto sa ibang bansa. So, talagang malawakan tong pandaraya at malawakang kalakalan, kumbaga. So, marami pong ebidensya. So, nilalabas nila ngayon. Ngayon, yung kampo nila Trump, may mga lawyers sila Rudy Giuliani, yung iba pa. We will show you one of the lawyers, a clip later on, of one of the lawyers of Trump. But yung Sidney Powell po, she represents we the people.
Right.
Yung mga tao, yung mga US citizens who feel that may kaso ako kasi nandaya kayo sa eleksyon. Pag nandaya kayo sa eleksyon, dinaya nyo kami sa boto namin, dinaya nyo yung, parang sinira nyo yung kinabukasan namin. So they don't want that. They want the election integrity po. Kailangan honest, truthful yung election. So itong si Sidney Powell, she is not a, sabi nga chairman, she is not a Trump lawyer. She never represented Trump. She never represented, hindi siya speaking for Trump. But because nga, yung lawyers ni Trump na nagproprotesta sa election, naghahain ng mga kaso, in behalf of President Trump, same ang kanilang gustong gawin, para na rin ganun yon. Pero sila Giuliani and the others, they filed cases in 4 states lang. Michigan, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. 4 lang. Pero marami pang ibang kaso yan all over the US. Iba't ibang mga county ang nagpa-file ng mga kaso kasi mali yung bilangan, mandaraya. Itong si Sidney Powell represents a certain
well, she parang we the people, no? Yung
represents
the American citizenry in
Yes.
general.
Yes.
So siya yung yan ang sinasabi niya, she's doing it, no? She's not being paid by any specific group, no?
Yes.
But she's doing it because she's doing it for the country, no? And she wants to say that I'm representing the people
Yes.
who are pushing for integrity in our elections.
Now, itong si Sidney Powell also is very close to the US military intelligence because she represented the now free.
Ito si General Flynn.
Itong si Michael Flynn, who is now the head of national intelligence of Trump. So we will show you a clip.
And kay Sidney Powell.
Yung kay Sidney Powell interview,
Ready na ba?
and what she is talking about, na kung saan, sino ba nagpakana nitong mga kadayaan at sino ba nag-umpisa na nitong Dominion Smartmatic. So, pakinggan po natin.
As legal challenges continue to bring light to alleged voter fraud in the 2020 election, the clock is ticking before the Electoral College will meet to cast their votes for president, just 9 days from now. Across the monolithic media, we hear there is no evidence. But actually, there are hundreds of sworn affidavits which are, in fact, evidence. My first guest says she has evidence of voter fraud on the biggest scale in world history, and adds that the Justice Department either needs to get its act together or be cleaned out from the top down, preferably, as she says, with a fire hose and Clorox. Here's my conversation with former federal prosecutor, attorney for General Michael Flynn, and former Trump legal counsel, Sidney Powell. Sidney, there are so many things I want us to visit about, but I need to get something sort of off the table. You have been quoted as saying that maybe voters shouldn't go into Georgia and vote in the Senate election, and that has been a very controversial position. Do you feel like that you really are asking Georgia Republicans to stay home and not vote in that very critical runoff?
No, that was completely misconstrued. Our point was that the system right now is corrupt. The Dominion machines cannot be relied on at all. And we want everyone, Republicans, the candidates, everyone, to stand up and speak out about the fraud that happened in Georgia and find a way to vote in time that allows people to know that their vote is being counted the way they voted it. Because right now, the system is just as rigged as it was 4 weeks ago. We can't trust it. And there has to be a way to get it right so that everyone who votes, and we encourage everyone to vote, knows their vote is real and being counted and not shaded or have results shaved off of it and given to another candidate or otherwise rigged.
Well,
I mean, you can't repeat the same procedure and expect a different result.
Well, I appreciate your clarity on that because I think you've been vilified by some people who said that you were trying to essentially throw the election to the Democrats. And I said, I don't think that's what Sidney Powell would want to do. I think I know her well enough. You are a rock star lawyer, and I say that with great affection and admiration for the many things that you have done in your legal career that have been breakthrough moments. What you're dealing with right now in looking at the election and the manner in which it was held in a lot of states, have you ever dealt with anything quite like this before? And why should everyone be worried about it?
Well, even the Democrats pointed this out years ago. I think Carolyn Maloney was the first person I saw raise any issue about it at all. And that was back in 2006, I believe, when she spoke out vehemently against it and wrote the Secretary of Treasury and other people. It never should have been approved by CFIUS to have the Dominion machines used in the United States at all. I mean, none of us realized, well, I mean, I guess a few people did, like she did, and Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar in 2019 realized that our votes were being handled on a Venezuelan-created software platform and sent out of the country to be counted, again, by communist nations with complete hackability and ease of access to almost anyone who wanted it. I mean, we've seen a video of a 15-year-old hacking in the Dominion voting machines in a span of 10 minutes, and a pro can do it in less than 2. We also identified the fact that the Smartmatic Dominion people left VPNs wide open and unencrypted to allow access by all kinds of foreign actors the night of the election. This election was manipulated by evil nations like China Communist Party, which owns 75% of the investment company that owns Dominion, and then also by Iran. There were Serbian people in the system at the time. Liechtenstein, I mean, there were hackers all over in our own election system during the election. And we know that the Dominion machines were created for the very purpose of altering the vote count to ensure the election of people like Hugo Chavez and Maduro in Venezuela. The same thing is happening here now. And this isn't the first time it's happened, Mike. We don't even know how many elections have been rigged by virtue of the software.
And Sydney, not surprisingly, Dominion comes out and says these machines are absolutely foolproof. They're full of integrity. There's nothing to see here. Let's move on. But more surprisingly, because that's not a surprise, but more surprisingly, the media keeps saying there is no evidence. There's no evidence. You and others have shown hundreds of affidavits, sworn statements under penalty of perjury. That means a person could go to prison for lying about it, of people who say they saw funny business going on. How come we can't seem to get the media and even the general public interested in the evidence that you have amassed and distributed?
Well, I think it's extremely unsettling to know that American elections have been just as rigged as elections in third world countries have been. I'm sure the CIA has been involved in any number of those activities. If not here, in other places around the world, it may have been the CIA that created this software and programs to begin with, and then exported them for their own use, only to have it come back to us. It could be that, very important, powerful, extremely wealthy people were involved in rigging this election. It's globalist interest. I mean, frankly, everyone in the world, except for the millions of Americans that wanted to elect Donald Trump to clean up the swamp and drain the swamp, want this world to continue the way it was, with them having all the power and working behind the scenes to rig elections and everything else so that they could profit from their own nefarious activities. It's massive. I'm sure the media companies are involved in it too. I noticed how all the same night, as if they were queued at once, they stopped counting electoral votes and the machines stopped counting in the swing states. It was all timed and planned and organized and funded.
It sounds like a movie script, but we're talking about it in real time. And honestly, Sydney, some of the things that you're saying, it sounds preposterous. It almost is beyond description. In the 1 minute that we've got left, which is not enough time, but I want to keep you on your schedule, you separated yourself from the official Trump campaign lawsuits, and I think the obvious question, why?
Because I wanted to pursue the fraud wherever it goes. And at the time, the campaign was focused on an entirely different avenue of approach to the election issues. I knew how important the fraud was, not just to this country, but to the world. It should, people of both parties, of every party, every political persuasion should be concerned about this. As I said, the Democrats were until this election. So there's no telling how many congressional and Senate seats and even governorships we've lost, Mike, because of this. They've been telling us the country has been trending blue. It has not. That is an abject lie. And we've collected the data that's going to show that, among many other things.
Even though we're out of time, a quick answer on this one. Is it too late to change the results?
No, it's not too late.
Okay.
No, it's not too late. The people must absolutely demand it. The electors have not been chosen yet. The fraud in Georgia is blatant. There's a video of it that's going viral where women in the State Farm arena pulled out suitcases of ballots from under the table after they lied to people about the voting being over and needing to go home because of a break in a water line or something. That was a lie. And they counted for 3 hours and put illegal ballots through the machine. That was more than 20,000 votes for Biden that were false, fraudulent ballots. That alone flips the state of Georgia. And the fact that the senators and the governors haven't risen up and demanded that that be fixed is extremely painful and telling.
Well, Sydney, I've often said that if I ever get in trouble, I'm going to call you. And if you ever hear from me in the middle of the night, please take the call. Would you just make me that promise? Thank you for being with us and sharing on our show. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for all that you do.
You can keep up with Sidney Powell on Twitter and her website, Sidney Powell.
Yan po. Si Sidney Powell has been interviewed by
Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas.
I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Arkansas, and ran for president also, Republican.
Nakita niyo po yung sinasabi ni Sidney Powell, iba yung gusto niyang talagang eksaminin, iba din yung ine-examine ng grupo ng mga lawyer ni Trump. Ang mga ine-examine ni grupo ni lawyer ng Trump, itong mga ballot switching, tapos yung mga hindi itong mail-in ballots na fictitious, tapos hindi man na-verify ang signatures. Yan, there are about 1,000 affidavits of this, no? Pati na yung nagde-deliver ng mga basyo-basyong mga balota para isusubo. Tapos wala nang examination. Saksak na lang ng saksak doon sa mga machine dahil kay Biden na ang binoboto. Now, all of these things, there are over 1,000 affidavits showing the different levels of cheating dito sa mga 4 na states o 6 na states sa Amerika. Hindi na nila ginawang nationwide yung examination dahil napakalaki. So nag-concentrate sila dito sa Pennsylvania, Arkansas, Michigan, Georgia.
4.
Okay. These 4 states. Doon sa 4 states lang over 1,000 affidavits na po sila. You know what an affidavit is? It's a sworn statement kung paano ginagawa at nag-witness sila ng dayaan. No? At iba-ibang klaseng witness, hindi lang po yung nanonood dyan o whatever. Ang witnesses po nagtatrabaho pa sa loob. No? At mga iba, dating empleyado ng Dominion. No? Sila yung nagsasalita at nagbibigay. Ngayon, yung kay Sidney Powell is now examining the servers that they have discovered outside of the United States, inside and outside of the United States. Yung sa Germany, yung sa Spain, she mentioned Liechtenstein, at kung saan, at pero mo international, ginamit nila outside the US para hindi mahuli. No? Kaya lang, ang nahuhuli nila ngayon, yung Dominion servers na nasa opisina ng CIA na nandun sa Germany. No? Yun ang medyo nahuli nila kasi nasa opisina ng CIA. Kasi hindi pwede mag-operate ang Amerikanong militar. Basta-basta, unless it was an office of the United States. Kaya yun ang napasukan nila, nakita. And this is what Sidney Powell saying. These are millions and millions of votes that they have discovered. Kung bibilangin mo daw yung na-discover nilang mga boto, makikita mo yung mapa ng Amerika. Pulang-pula, magiging pulang-pula dahil lahat kay Donald Trump. At nung binilang nila yung electoral votes doon, umabot na po ng 410. Tapos yung kay Biden, 100 something, no? 120 something. Ibig sabihin, talagang binaliktad at talagang dinaya. So ito ang pinapursue niya. Gusto ko lang sabihin, at sabi niya, tinanong, is it too late? No, it's not too late kasi meron silang ginagawa na siguro papasok na naman sa husgado at papakita nila itong mga ito sa Supreme Court din. Pero gusto ko lang sabihin, itong mga nakaraan araw lang, kaya wala pa tayo talagang clip dito, itong nakaraan araw, last week, nagsampa ng kaso ang State of Texas, no? Sa Korte Suprema, yung Federal Supreme Court. Ang sinasabi nila, dito sa mga ibang states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Michigan, no? Ang sinasabi ng US state, hindi sila sumunod sa saligang batas ng Amerika. They did not follow the Constitution of the United States. And that's why they were asking the Supreme Court to sanction them and to declare that the ballots that they were counting not be included in the total. Right. No? Whatever it is that they were adding on, and because including the mail-in ballots and so on. Now, hindi lang mag-isang state of Texas ang sumali dito. No? Sumali po sa state of Texas 20 other states na sabi, kasama kami dyan, we associate with the case, we are also intervening. And yung iba, amicus curiae, meaning kasanib sila. Pati na rin yung opisina ni President Trump, sabi, sali kami dyan sa kasong yan.
Iba pa yan sa ang existing case niya.
Iba yung mga existing case. Ito yung sabi ng Texas kasi, kasuhan nyo yan mga Pennsylvania tsaka ano. Okay. Pagtanggap po ng Supreme Court, nag-decide ang Supreme Court i-dismiss yung kaso ng Texas na humihingi inihingi niya sa Supreme Court na kasuhan o pigilin o wag bilangin yung mga boto dito sa Pennsylvania kasi sandamakmak yung dayaan dyan. Ang sagot ng Korte Suprema, dinidismiss nila yung kaso, parang rejected. Bakit po? Hindi dahil sinasabi ng Korte Suprema walang dayaan dyan. Wala po yon. Hindi man nila pinasukan yung ebidensya sa dayaan. Ang sinabi lang nila, meron tayong provision sa ating Constitution. I think it was Article 13 that they cited. It says that the states cannot intervene in the other states' processes. Kasi every state has its own legislature, has its own governor, has its own Supreme Court. Every state.
Parang independent sila.
Parang independent sila. Kaya ang Texas, hindi pwedeng makialam doon sa ginawa ng state na yon. Yung mga tao doon, sila ang magre-resolve niyan. No? At kung kailangan, yung mga tao sa Pennsylvania, pupunta sa Korte Suprema at isusumbong nila yung Korte Suprema doon sa ano. Kasi the final arbiter is the Supreme Court, the Federal Supreme Court. No? So, meron constitutional provision na the states cannot interfere or intervene in the workings of the other state. Pinipigil. So because of that, sabi niya, the Supreme Court cannot decide on what Texas is asking for.
Right.
That is the basis of the rejection. Not because there was no cheating, no? But because that move was not counter to the Constitution. Even Texas and all of them said, kung pumasa ito at the US accepts it,
The Supreme
and
Court.
the Supreme Court accepts it, then it
Malaking.
would have been like a home run, no? But it was still a long shot.
Parang jackpot.
Jackpot yun, jackpot. Pero hindi mangyari yun dahil alam ng Korte Suprema sa Amerika na may pinagbabawalan dun sa Constitution na pumasok sila dyan.
So may question ako, Chairman. So, does this mean that walang nangyari? Paano na si Trump after this Texas case? Wala na siyang kaso? Ganun ba yun? Or?
Hindi, meron pa rin. Kasi yung dayaan, yung dayaan naka ano pa rin sa mga iba-ibang korte.
Okay.
Hindi pa umaabot sa Supreme Court.
Okay.
Nandun pa lang sila sa mga states, different courts, right?
Okay.
Ngayon, nagkakandaan kasi doon pa lang meron ng mga bayaran. Ganyan. Pero ang nangyayari, maglalaban ngayon yung legislators para meron po silang mga sariling mga senador, no? Dito, at congressman dito sa every state. Yun ang maglalaban, no? Para sabihin sa kanilang Korte Suprema, kinakailangan wag yung gagawin yan dahil sa amin ang kapangyarihan to decide on electoral processes is the legislature and not the Supreme Court there in
That state. So,
And the governor cannot
yung po doon.
arbitrarily
Kinanandun kayo
change
sa
the
Amerika.
process because that is a power given to the legislature.
Yeah.
So, ngayon, dito pa lang sila nagdidiskusyon, no? Pero dahil yung mga legislatures naman, karamihan sa legislature, mga Republicans, kanya nagbabagaan. Ngayon, the other thing that mangyayari is the power to choose the electoral those that will electors na dun sa state na yon is the power given to the legislators, no?
Hindi yung governor,
Hindi yung governor, hindi yung Supreme Court. Ito na naman ang minamaniobra, laban sa batas. No? So ito na naman yung labanan dyan. No? Kasi pag yung legislators sa state ang pipili ng electors, no? Like we said, yung electors ang legislators karamihan Republicans. So pwedeng sabihin ng electors, hindi kami pwedeng mag-certify sa mga resulta ng election kasi maraming dayaan dyan. So hindi makakaboto, no? At kung yan ang mangyayari, so there will be the electors in those 4 states who will be inhibited or will say we cannot certify. Pag ang pumili ng electors ay itong governor o yung nakapasok yung mga Democrats dyan sa electors, no? Isa-certify nila yung election ni Biden. Dito malalaman. Kailan po natin malalaman yan? Marahil malalaman natin yan bukas. Because ang deadline nitong mga electors is December 14. Di ko alam if on that day, kasi by law, on that day yun ang deadline. Kung hindi na naman matuloy itong certification, malamang aakyat na yan sa Korte Suprema ulit. At titignan ng Korte Suprema na naman, this time on the merits of the case. Dahil napaka masalimuot tsaka napakaraming issues, kasi pati itong kay Sidney Powell, papasok pa yan, itong Palawakan Dayaan, ginagamit itong mga computers, mga Dominion, Smartmatic. Baka wala ng panahon ng Korte Suprema usisain at pag-aralan lahat ng mga ebidensya. So, anong mangyayari? By law, ayon sa kanilang saligang batas, ibibigay nila ang desisyon sa Kongreso. Ang Kongreso po, yung Senate tsaka lower house sa Amerika. At ang mga magboboto dyan, Republicans tsaka Democrats. Sa bilangan, mas maraming Republicans kaysa sa Democrats. No? Yun po ang mangyayari. So, dahil mas maraming Republicans, ang sinasabi nila, pag umabot na doon, no, halos sigurado na magiging presidente si Trump. No? So, medyo, alam nyo po, medyo masalimuot yung proseso. No? Pero ako natutuwa, maski na matagal. Nabibigyan po ng mga pamamaraan ang mga dinaya sa eleksyon na labanan yung resulta ng eleksyon. Dahil meron silang mga ebidensya na may daya. Dito po sa atin, di natin magagawa yon. Dahil ang COMELEC ay isang constitutional body that decides on everything about the election. Kung ang COMELEC mismo ang nandaya at ang COMELEC mismo ang gumamit ng Dominion tsaka Smartmatic, di ka pwedeng pumunta sa korte. Ang korte na pupuntahan mo, COMELEC pa rin. Sila na nga yung nandaya eh. Kanya hindi na. Nakatali po ang kami. Pag sinabi ng COMELEC, talo ka, magsulat ka ng complaint mo, magdala ka ng complaint mo, talo ka pa rin. Kasi pwede nilang upuan yung kaso mo hanggang mabulok ka. Ganito po ang nangyari dito kay Bongbong Marcos, kita nyo. No? Tapos na nga yung tapos na yung election, nag-decide na, saan pumunta si Bongbong? Sa Korte Suprema. No? Pero tapos na yon dahil nakaupo na si Lenny. Na-deklara na si Lenny. Umahabol na lang siya. Ang sinasabi natin na pamamaraan, bago makadeclare ng proclamation na kung sino ang presidente, vice-presidente, at kung sino man, before the proclamation, you are given a recourse, a process, no, to be able to ask for redress etong issues dito po sa Amerika. Ang sabi nila, ang Pilipinas daw at ang Amerika parehong sistema. Hindi po. Hindi po. Ito pong sa Amerika ngayon, ang nakikita nyo dyan, the dynamics of a working constitution. It is not 100% ideally or whatever perfect. No? But you see that the constitution, no, is always pinagbabasihan ng kung ano man nangyayari. Not only that, walang isang body that goes above the Constitution. Unlike the COMELEC, yung COMELEC po goes above the Constitution. Kasi sila na ang Sila na ang pulis, sila na ang magde-decide kung sinong manalo, sila na ang magde-decide ng rules, lahat sila. No? Ito pong sa Amerika, hindi ganyan. Bakit po ganyan ang ginawa sa atin? Ilagay ko, kasi gusto nilang paraan na dayain ng tao kung kakailanganin nilang dayain. And this is exactly what is happening here. We must learn from all of this. And these stupid people that want to become president, no? And I say stupid because they do not understand what they're going to get into. They do not understand the problems that the country is facing. They don't even understand what is a correct process. They're just hoping that if they become candidates, the oligarchs will pay for their victory. No? They will prostitute themselves to those that are having money. No? They will, yan lang ang laro. Tapos presidente na sila.
I wanted to come in break, pero ang hirap kasi, ang ganda ng ganda ng ano ni chairman. But we have since been blocked on Facebook after showing that video for technical reasons, but we are still live on YouTube. So we've
Black natin.
kanina pa. But sa Facebook. Pero may advisory po, may link po sa Facebook natin. So YouTube live pa rin tayo, guys, right? So we put an advisory there on Facebook. So please share that. Yun na lang yung ano natin. Alam niyo naman, it's hard to see kung ano yung nabablock, ano yung ano. Baka may mga videos kasi tayo mamaya na ibablock. Just so that you're aware.
So,
Basta,
ang Facebook po, pag nung linabas natin si Sidney Powell, no? So, binara tayo ng Facebook. Meron pa rin tayong YouTube, no?
yes, live
Pero
YouTube.
meron pa rin tayong live sa DCXL, sa radio. No?
DZXL, na-block na rin po.
Na-block na rin ng DCXL.
Sa Facebook DZXL.
Facebook DCXL.
Yeah, but the
Pero
radio,
yung kilohertz ng 558 on radio, no? And if you have
Hopefully it's still there.
a radio, if you have a radio, you go to 558, andun pa rin po tayo. No?
yun, ganun talaga. This is the environment that we're in now. So just wanted to know. Pero maganda po yung sinabi ni the other one. I want to even take it further. It's not just this COMELEC and elections. The crisis has been, the Philippines has been undergoing constitutional crisis for a long, long time. Diba? Kasi yung po mga legislators natin, even our presidents, our past presidents, parang binabaliwala yung constitution natin eh. They don't realize that they say it in words. In motherhood statements na ang constitution ganyan. Pati yung mga lawyer natin, wala tayong masabi na constitutionalist. And who will fight for the constitution as the basic law of the land. Diba? So, many times po, even dealing with many executive orders, diba? Yung mga ganon. They have violated the constitution itself. And the Constitution nga, lahat sila, I'm sure they want to change it para magkapera sila eh. Parang yung Constitution on the ownership, di ba? Foreign ownership, Constitution. Sinasabi nila palating outdated. Pero naghahanap sila ng ways around it for decades. Di ba? We've been in a constitutional crisis. Nobody respected. Our Supreme Court justices have also demonstrated over the years that the Constitution does not really mean, it serves as a guide, and marami po yung mga desisyon nila nagsasabi lang as a guide. But no, it is the embodiment of our republic. That's what it is. That's what it is. Kaya nga when we keep saying, sabi nga ni Chairman, Artikulo 12, bakit nobody is picking this up? This is the very basis of why a constitution why a republic was born. was conceptualized by founding fathers and later on improved and made more perfect by patriots, Philippine patriots. Pero tayo dito, Constitution, guide lang. Suggestion lang yung Constitution. And then amend na lang natin yan later on. That constitutional crisis has been going on. And maganda po sa US, and I second what Chairman said, that the US, ang nangyayari po sa US ay ang gulo na yan, yung gulo na yan, yung challenges, legal challenges, it is a fight between Trump, who wants to reform the whole system, and yung mga nakaupo na yan, yung mga dating gawi, yung mga status quo. Mga tinatawag natin yung swamp, yung deep state, the DC, in DC, Washington DC, yung mga politiko dyan, yung mga bureaucrats dyan na lumaki na dahil sa sistemang to, yung dating kalakaran, the usual. Itong si Trump, pasok siya 4 years, ginulo niya lahat, gusto niyang palitan, gusto niyang linisin. Kaya yun yung laban na yun ngayon. Yun ang nakikita natin. And the Constitution of the United States is again being brought to the fore and being tested as, susundan ba natin to as Constitution? Regardless kung maka-Democrat ka o Republican ka, kailangan sundan natin yung Constitution natin. Or not. Diba? In other words, kung hindi natin sundan yung Constitution, ba't pa tayo may bansa? Huwag na tayo magbansa. Yun ang tinetest ngayon sa US. Kaya masaya rin ako na nangyayaring ito. Not because magulo sa US, but because it has to be this way. Kailangan mangyari pong ganito. Kasi kung hindi po, edi dating gawi, wala rin mangyayari. So we have a couple of other videos if you want to. We'll keep showing the videos. We have a lawyer, one of the lawyers of the Trump team naman, answering a question. It's a legal question and we can show it and he can explain bakit may ganito, bakit may ganyan. So, sige, Ver, we will show the, teka muna, check ko muna. Let me check. Yung can defendant states. Okay, sige. Try na natin.
My understanding is that there are currently 2 states out of our 50 that split their electoral votes rather than winner take all. So if the Supreme Court decides to have these 4 states in this litigation, if they send it back to these 4 states' legislative branches to make the decision about the electoral votes, can any one of these 4 states split their electoral votes?
It's a great question, but no, and especially these 4 states, it's winner take all. So these aren't allocated states. So they can't change the legislation by this. All the court could do, if they ruled in favor of Texas, would say go back to the state legislature and make a decision that the legislature makes to appoint the slate of electors. That's it. That's as far as they could go. In one sense, it's a very narrow case. That's why this is not, it's outcome determinative because the number of electors at stake are outcome determinative. But it's not going to say Donald Trump's the winner or Joe Biden's the winner. By the way, Bush versus Gore didn't do that either, but it was outcome determinative. If the 10th Amendment is not an issue in the following, is it possible the court could opine in part of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, Wisconsin on 10th Amendment state rights ground? Nope, not raised. And I will also say, could the Supreme Court rule that since the legislatures didn't overrule governors and secretary of states, mail-in ballot changes, that this decision goes directly to Congress? Okay, let's explain how it actually ends up if it were to end up in Congress, because there is a provision in the Constitution that sets that up.
Yeah, the way that would work is if this case were to be remanded to the legislatures for their presidential electors to be picked pursuant to the Constitution, the Electors Clause, and 3 U.S.C. Section 2, that is, if it went back to the legislatures and the legislatures could not reach a number, neither candidate or any candidate could not reach 270 electoral votes. That's what you have to have. If that doesn't happen, then the Constitution, Amendment 12, provides that the election of the president takes place in the House of Representatives. Now, in the House of Representatives, each state gets one vote. It's not 435 votes. All the representatives don't vote. So what would happen is you vote by delegation. The Republicans currently have the majority in 27 delegations, the Democrats in 22 delegations. Those delegations meet and they decide how to cast the vote of the state in question: Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, New York, Michigan, whatever it is. And then whoever gets the majority of the votes is elected the president. The Senate elects the vice president. The Senate elects the vice president. That's the procedure that's followed.
With James writing in about that, these electors, if SCOTUS rules in Texas favor and electors are still chosen based on the results of the election, what has Texas gained? Shouldn't electors be chosen independently from the election results? Nope. And this again, the Supreme Court will leave it up to the states, Harry, to decide the electors. What I have said is that even those state legislatures, these are all Republican, that were not going to do this on their own, even though they could, because they had the power to declare that the elections were held illegally in their states and thus seat their own electors. They could go back and say, no, we're still going to abide by the election, even though the Supreme Court said it was an illegal election.
Precisely. So one of the issues raised even by the state of Texas was whether or not the state legislative bodies ratified the non-legislative decisions taken by, let's say, the Secretary of the State of Michigan or Pennsylvania. They could, in fact, do that. The state legislative bodies could, for instance, ratify the certification, the current certification, including illegal votes, arguably, within their state. So it's up to the state legislative body. They have discretion. They could select an entirely new slate of electors. They could decide not to send a delegation to Congress. Right. And that then returns us to the scenario that Andy so excellently explained.
So all of that is set forth in the Constitution for a reason. The founders had a vision of what could happen. Then there were some amendments to bring up other scenarios. So the Supreme Court's dealing with the template. The template is called the U.S. Constitution. There are arguments on both sides. Those arguments have been made. There's not been oral arguments yet. The court could order that for tomorrow. They're not bound by a Monday through Wednesday or Monday through Friday schedule. Or they could just decide the case. So we need to be prepared. We've always said this is a real uphill battle. But I think this is the last real case. That's my view. This is the last real case.
Okay, that clip was, they were discussing what the basic procedure. At nakita niyo po how medyo intricate it is. No? Yeah. But this was, they were talking about prior to the submission or presentation of the case of Texas. Kaya sabi niya, this is the last case. Which means, kasi ito ng presentation, biro mo, 21 different states ang sumusuporta sa Texas sa kanya lang na technicality po. Na technicality yung presentation. Sabi niya, it's an uphill battle, or the others were saying it's a long shot. But the Supreme Court said, no, there is a constitution, maski pa paano, may constitution. It says that one state cannot intervene in another state's processes. Intervention maybe, maski na ihahabla mo, that is like an intervention because the United State of Texas was filing a case, in effect, against Pennsylvania. At sa Constitution, bawal yun. Hindi mo magagawa. Lalong-lalo na dito sa kanilang mga processes, governing processes. Yun ang inaano natin.
Pero meron rin di ba? May also state constitution sila. Di ba? They have their own.
Meron, but it's not. It will be all the time subservient
to
the federal constitution.
the Union, the United States Constitution nga.
Right.
So, sabi nga nung isang, these are the legal experts, no? Yung mga weighing in. Sabi nga nung isa is that the Supreme Court will treat the U.S. Constitution as a template. Right? So, ito yung guide nila.
Right.
And then they will decide based on whether it's against the Constitution or for the Constitution. And so that's how they look at it. And maganda rin po yung sinabi nila na kanina sabi niya, this is how the founding fathers, yung US founding fathers, when they drafted the Constitution.
They were anticipating these things already.
Yes. Oo.
Nakikita niyo ba?
Grabe.
This was more than 250 years ago.
Yeah.
At ito yung kanilang na-anticipate. Kanya ganito po ang nangyari. That's why ako, I enjoy it in the sense na we're learning.
Yes.
We're learning,
Correct.
and then we look at that. Maski na masalimuot, no? Even if it's a bit intricate, no? When we look at ours, then you will see the injustice that is being done.
Right.
In that case, may kita nyo, siyempre ang kalaban niya, pera, malalaki, mandaraya, lahat ng mga bilyonaryo sa mundo, nakatutok dyan laban kay Trump. Pero meron lumalaban. Lumalaban si Trump dahil backed up siya ng mga people of America. So you will see this fight, and it's unfolding before our eyes. It's a tremendous experience.
Yes,
Maybe
history.
Once in a lifetime po natin makikita to. That is why even Trump was saying,
Yes.
this coming election, he said before the election, is going to be the most important in our history. Sabi na. Kanya ito nga ang nangyayari.
Yeah, sabi rin niya, it's not just a 4-year election. It's coming. Pero ang maganda rin dyan, pati yung citizens ng US are now awakened to learning more about their own constitution and the processes. Imagine po, parang crash course ng constitutional law ang pinapakita po sa lahat ng citizen ng US. So awaken sila, bakit ganyan? Bakit kailangan ganyan? Nagtatanong sila. Alam mo naman, pag may kilala tayong mga Amerikano, can do sila Parang kaya natin yan, ha? Bakit ganun yan? Tapos magtatanong sila. And they love freedom. Ano mga Amerikano? They love freedom. They love the fact that they're able to do what they want to do in that country. So, lahat sila, even them, awakened and learning constitutional law, reading up on constitution, and not relying on the experts, quote-unquote, sa media na parati nagsisinungaling.
Media kasangkot sa dayaan. Dito din, tandaan nyo yung mga ABS-CBN, mainstream media, sangkot sila talaga sa dayaan.
Hanggang ngayon.
Kanya dapat, pag nagkaroon ng kasuhan, like for example, sabi nila, Trump will drain the swamp. Ibig nila sabihin, tatanggalin niya lahat itong mga tiwali. Kasama na dyan yung mainstream media, and they will be charged criminally for purposely misleading and lying to the people.
Right.
Dapat meron tayong ganyan, no? Kanya lang wala tayong draining the swamp, no? Dinadagdagan pa natin yung swamp natin, no? We still have to get the president.
Daming gusto sumama.
Kala ko mayroon na tayong magde-drain ng swamp natin. Hindi, nadadagdagan pa nga yung swamp ng mga...
Parang lumalim pa.
Lumalim. Anyway.
Ay, nako. So, we have one more video before we...
We will shift to another topic, no? Tungkol dito sa
COVID
vaccine. Pero we have one more video. The reason we want this, because this is being done by a Catholic priest, no? And he talks about this... the situation in the United States election. No? And he puts it, of course, in the context of a Catholic priest and a citizen of the United States presenting this.
The reason why this is important is because Biden has already announced he will restore abortion funding. Imagine.
Sabi ni Biden, by the way, Biden is a Catholic,
Yes.
supposedly a Catholic. Tapos sabi niya, in-announce niya, dadagdagan niya pa yung funding for abortion.
Kasi tinanggal ni Trump.
Because Trump took it out.
Yes. Kasi pro-life po si Trump. Ito naman si Biden, nagpapanggap na Catholic. Marami ditong ganyan, di ba? Papanggap na Catholic.
Catholic in name.
In name.
Pero
Tapos,
Satan in practice.
yes, so now he says he will bring back the funding for abortion. So let's watch this interview.
Joined now by Father Frank Pavone. Ending abortion, also a Newsmax contributor, also joined by Brian Butch, president of the Catholic Vote. That's an organization representing millions of Catholics across America who seek to renew our country and our culture. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Father, we're going to start with you. Biden now supports repealing the Hyde Amendment. That would force Christians, actually all people of faith, to fund the filthy, disgusting, abhorrent practice of abortion on demand. Kamala Harris, or the Stevie Wonder pronunciation, Camilla Harris, doesn't think people who live their Catholic faith should serve as judges. How big a threat are these two when it comes to religious liberty and rights in our country?
Well, it's a very big threat, and it's a threat posed by the party itself. You know, during the election, some people said, well, Biden, you know, he's not so extreme. I said, listen, it doesn't matter. It's the party's agenda that he's going to be implementing. And the problem is not just how extreme is the person sitting in the Oval Office, it's how extreme is the person sitting in the office down the hallway. So we've got a whole party of extremists who actually hate the Catholic Church, want to oppress our freedom, don't only want to reverse and eliminate the Hyde Amendment. It's actually in the Democrat platform that they want to get rid of it. But they also want to get rid of all the other restrictions on abortion funding. There are a lot of them that get renewed each year by Congress, and the Republican House has been the Republicans in the House have been standing firm to not let any of those pro-life protections be removed. Democrats want to remove them all, not only on the federal level, but on the state level and also on the international level. Biden would take away the protections that President Trump has put in place for billions of taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. A lot of those folks who call themselves Catholics who voted Democrat just seem to forget the last time Biden was in the Oval Office with Obama, he targeted the Catholic Church. Brian, I'm going to put something up on the screen. The Holy Father, the Vicar of Christ, Pope Francis, has released a new book that lectures Americans on racism, illegal immigration, and gender equity. As a practicing Catholic, I'm a little more disturbed over the conduct of this Pope. He seems to be more consumed with delivering on left-wing political agenda items than doing God's will. Am I wrong?
Well, you're certainly right to push back a bit, and you'd be in good company with the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops, who have said that the life issue, the protection of innocent human life in the womb, is the preeminent issue. And I think for Catholics in particular, the questions raised by this potential new administration are not simply political questions or potential changes in public policy, but they also relate to the integrity of the church itself. To the extent the church does not take this new administration head on, challenge it, hold its feet to the fire, they are going to look very unserious about their fundamental moral teaching that all Catholics are called to abide by.
Yeah, and it seems that this pontiff is undermining that. Father, I want to follow up on this. The Pope tweeted out, I was floored when I saw this. The Pope tweeted out Mr. Biden's slogan, "Build Back Better." He also appointed a hard left archbishop, a guy by the name of Wilton Gregory, as the new Archbishop of Washington, D.C. I got to be quite frank, I am bewildered at this Pope's support for a man, Biden, and an ideology, liberalism, that runs counter to our faith, and that political party has viciously attacked the very church the Pope claims he wants to lead.
You know, I'm a faithful Catholic. I'm also a patriotic American. And with all due respect to all the authorities in the church, I do not want foreign interference in American politics. And now the Pope is not only head of the Catholic Church, he's a head of state. And we have to be very careful here. If there are people, working around him, advising him, or helping him to write these things, who are not respecting the autonomy of American politics, then they're going to get some very well-deserved pushback. Look, American Catholics are perfectly free to disagree with the Pope's political views. That is not a question of faith and morals, and we have got to retain our autonomy here. And by the way, MAGA, and I've got my MAGA hats that I'll continue to wear proudly. Make America Great Again is a whole philosophy. It has transformed American politics, and we're going to continue to build on that. And we're going to continue to push back at every single point against the Democrats' positions and policies. And this is why President Trump wins, no matter who gets into the Oval Office. President Trump wins because this MAGA philosophy has inspired countless Catholics and other Americans as well, and will continue to.
Brian, last thing. I guess I like to have my Pope focused on something that is greater than Republican politics or Democrat politics. I want him focused on the Word. I want him focused on Jesus Christ. But it seems there's a schism, and I think that he has been this. He has made this schism greater between those who want to abandon our traditional beliefs in the Catholic Church and those who want to remain tied to Christ's teachings. How do you think the Catholic Church can heal that schism?
Well, I think we're going to heal it by showing both our church leadership and even the Pope himself that we are committed to the truth, and the truth about the human person, obviously starting with the innocent child in the womb. We have to remember the Pope also was a man, and he is not the arbiter of the truth. He is the servant of the truth. And all of us are called as Catholics to live out that truth in obedience to both the Word of God and to the truth of the human person found in natural law. That is where the Catholic Church derives its authority when it comes to these moral questions. The Pope doesn't get to change those things. Either do we, either does Joe Biden. We are all called to be faithful and serve that truth as best we can. And that's what we need to do as lay people, and to show that if our bishops or even the Holy Father himself is unwilling to show that courage, we have to do it ourselves.
Amen to that. Gentlemen, Merry Christmas. Thanks for being here on the Chris Salcedo Show.
Okay.
That was Newsmax.
That was Newsmax, the station, the online station. At ini-interview po si Father Pavone, no? At like I was explaining, he's a Catholic priest, no? And he's also an American patriot. No? And makikita mo the way he argues itself and presents it, ang kanyang statements against abortion, no? And it's very direct, and you can see that this is a man of courage, a man of moral courage. Tapos tinanong siya about the Pope, kasi yung Pope gumamit nitong build back better, no?
Slogan.
It's like a slogan of all of those people that are siding with Trump and with Biden. Because ginamit po ni Biden ang Build Back Better. Tapos si President Trudeau, Build Back Better. Sino pa
Duterte.
Si Duterte, Build Back Better. Ito po ang parang parang slogan. Na sinyales na kumakampi ka dito sa mga deep state, dito sa mga taong gustong mag one world government.
Right.
It's like a slogan. Kanya nakakakilabot po yung sinasabi ng commentator na si Salongo.
Chris something.
And sinasabi niya dito. Tapos sabi ng pare, no, dapat malaman nila na lahat ng Katoliko, malaman nila na kung ano man ang sinasabi ng Pope tungkol dito ay hindi
ibig sabihin.
Wala pong kinalaman yan sa ating pananampalataya. It has nothing to do with our faith and our religion. We are free to disagree with the Pope when it comes to these matters. And he said, those people that advising him, no, to do these things, to say these things, no, for whatever their intentions, sabi niya, are going to be probably, sabi niya, they will be getting a putback, meaning
Pushback.
a pushback, masasabihan sila o matatanggal sila, o they will be punished for their malice, no? Now, yun ang comment ko lang dyan, matagal ko na sinasabi, madali pong may paliwanag at yung mga sinasabi ng Pope. Pero ang nagtatanong ako, bakit ang dami niyang sinasabi na controversial? No? Hindi lang po ito. Palaging pag mayroong controversial statement na parang nakaka-confuse sa mga Catholic faithful, nanggagaling sa kanya. No? Tayo po, meron na tayong set norms na itinuro sa atin sa ating catechism, sa lahat ng... Tapos ngayon pumapasok siya, parang binabangga niya, no? Ang nakakagulat, tapos pag nag-react tayo, dadating na yung explanation. He was taken out of context, ito ang talagang ibig sabihin niya. Pero bakit naman ang dami? Anyway, ayokong pumasok dito, no? Pero ganito itong
Food for thought.
Food for thought.
Parang for now. Pero, but part of the Build Back Better slogan is rolling out this of how to deal with COVID.
Right.
Okay, so you can see itong Prime Minister Trudeau, ito si Biden, hindi po nila sinasabi na COVID, hindi sila nagtatanong bakit ganyan. Hindi sila nagtatanong na 99.5%, di ba? On CDC figures, yung chances of survival mo po 99.5%. Wala silang, ang sinasabi nila, ang COVID daw, ganun pa rin, delikado pa rin, lockdown pa rin, masks pa rin. Ito yung sinasabi nila na build back better. And they're rolling out these vaccines.
Right.
I wanted to, sige.
We have to understand, no? Ito sinasabi ni Itos, sabihin nila, ang tao daw, pag na-infect ng COVID, you have 99% chance of recovery. No? At makikita mo na sa mga datos, ang namamatay ay supposed to be less than 2%. No? Actually, it should be less dahil yung mga iba, comorbidity.
Correct.
No? Na sinasabi nila COVID, mas na hindi talagang COVID.
Right.
So siguro talagang mas mababa pa dyan kung ma-COVID ka. Hindi lang po dito sa Pilipinas, around the world. Sa US, medyo mataas pero hindi natin alam kung tama yung statistika nila. No? At any rate, bakit ang taas-taas ng recovery rate, bakit kailangan pa ng vaccine?
Correct.
Na ang pinakamagaling na vaccine is 95% effective.
Mas mababa pa sa chances mo.
Mas mababa pa sa... yung 98% natin, wala man vaccine. No?
99.
99% natin walang vaccine.
Right.
No? Pero, alam nyo, kung sipunin kayo ngayon, no? At hindi nyo maagapan, you have 99% chance of recovery na after 1 week, ready ka na. After 2 days, pahinga ka lang, no? Mag-inom ka ng vitamin C, tsaka paracetamol, okay ka na. Yan po yung ibig sabihin ng 99.9% recovery. Bakit nila isasabi, etong vaccine na ito, merong 95% effectivity. Sus Mariosep, yung Pfizer na yan, tinesting lang sa Singapore. 10 tao, 6 yung namatay. Tapos yung 4, nabuhay. Yung 4 na binigyan ng vaccine, hindi naman vaccine, placebo lang. Kala nila vaccine. Pero in-inject yung 10. Yung tunay na vaccine, 6. Yung 4 na hindi tunay na vaccine, hindi nila alam, buhay. Sino po nabuhay? Yung hindi tunay na vaccine. Yung 6 na tunay na vaccine, patay lahat.
Baka yan
Sa Singapore po yan.
Baka yan yung magte-take sila in public, sila Duque. Yung
Well,
placebo lang. Hindi yung totoong vaccine. But I wanted to say, isa pa dito about COVID, no? Very controversial po ito. In fact, so controversial na yung ating mga kaibigan dito sa Facebook, sa Twitter, tsaka sa YouTube. Para nagsasabi na sila, pag hindi kami agree sa mga pinopost nyo about COVID, ibablock namin kayo. Ganon sila. But I wanted to say this. This is from a pharmacist. Sa Twitter po to. Nag-post lang siya ngayon. COVID-19, there's something very strange going on with this COVID thing. I've been a pharmacist for 43 years. 30 years as an owner. It's December 12, 2020. Well into the flu season. I have not dispensed any Tamiflu this season whatsoever. Tamiflu generic is the most prescribed medication for flu. Once you're diagnosed with having flu, extremely effective. I asked my friend Mike, who works as a salesman for a major national wholesaler, how much Tamiflu and generic has he sold to pharmacies this season? Sabi niya, wala. He hasn't sold any. He has 75 accounts of independent pharmacies across the United States.
My goodness. Alam niyo po sinasabi dyan, no? Yung flu, yung tunay na flu, pag naano ka, itetest ka, may sipon ka o may ubo ka, papatest ka, sasabihin nila COVID. Kanya hindi, pag flu lang yan, makakababenta sila ng Tamiflu medicine, right? Pero, pag sinabi sa iyo COVID, hindi ka na kumukuha ng flu medicine. Kaya lahat ng mga butika ngayon sa Amerika, walang naibebentang flu medicine. Tignan niyo yung mga ginagawa. There's something strange nga. No?
Yeah. Tapos yung figures nga ng CDC, biglang wala na yung flu. 98% na wala yung flu. Sa US, sabi nga nila, di parang COVID solved the flu. Cured the flu.
COVID cured the flu.
Cured the flu. Kasi wala na daw mga kasong flu.
There is really something wrong going on.
Something's not right. So
when you look at all of these things, you include already the cheating in the election, you include the economic downturn, you include COVID that might be manufactured, and you include this pharmaceutical effort to sell vaccine. There is something wrong that is being done to the world population, not just to America, but to the world population. Why is it interesting about America? Because America, mabilis ang information na lumalabas. Tsaka nandiyan po maraming eksperto. Dito po sa atin, sunod-sunuran lang tayo. Yung mga eksperto natin, hindi nag-eksperto yan. Nanonood lang ng CNN.
Correct.
Eksperto na sila. Mga bobo po yan. Hindi talagang nag-research. Nagpapanggap. Manunod lang silang TV, eksperto na. No? Pero sa Amerika po, ito yung mga doktor. Gusto ko lang pakita sa inyo, maliit na bahagi ng isang clip ng mga ibang doktor. There are something like 30 to 40 doctors that got themselves together to produce a video for the rest of the world. We cannot show you all of the 40, but we will give you initial 5 minutes or so of it para maramdaman nyo yung flavor ng sinasabi nitong siguro mga 40 doktor to. Hindi na namin binilang. 40 doctors that put together. And later on, you can check the link. No? Okay.
My name is Andrew Kaufman. I'm a medical doctor and board-certified forensic psychiatrist. This pandemic is not a real medical pandemic. The COVID-19 vaccine is not proven safe or effective because there has not been enough time. In addition, there is not a clear definition of any new disease for which it can be tested against. There has not been a virus that has been purified or shown to be the cause of an illness. Thus, there is no target for a vaccine. However, the bottom line is that since no additional deaths have occurred in relation to a new disease, there is simply no need for a new vaccine.
Hi, my name is Hilde de Smet. I'm a Belgian medical doctor, and I'd like to say that the new COVID-19 vaccine is not safe and that there is no global medical pandemic. For almost 20 years, the pharmaceutical industry has been trying to develop corona vaccines, but never managed because they saw in the animal trials that there were serious side effects, autoimmune disorders, when the animal was exposed to a new wild-type virus. These autoimmune disorders are comparable with the complications we have seen in some COVID-19 patients. Now, due to the excuse of a global pandemic, the pharma industry has the permission to skip the animal trials. This means that we humans will be the guinea pigs, and we might get severe side effects when we are exposed to new viruses.
My name is Nils Fosse. I'm a medical doctor in Bergen, Norway. The COVID-19 vaccine has not been proven safe and effective. It's a new technology and it's been tested on a few thousands of people in a few months. Please do your own research. This is not a real medical pandemic. The death rates in Norway are not higher than on an average year.
Dr. Elizabeth Evans, retired doctor and co-founder of the UK Medical Freedom Alliance. The COVID-19 vaccines are not proven to be safe or effective. We believe that it is reckless and unnecessary to roll out these essentially experimental vaccines that are using a completely new mRNA technology to millions of people when there is only limited short-term safety data, no evidence that they will prevent transmission of the virus, and no long-term safety data to rule out late-onset negative effects like autoimmune diseases, infertility, and cancers.
This is Dr. Mohammed Adel from United Kingdom. I am fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons of UK and consultant surgeon. I have been working for the National Health Services for the last 30 years with unblemished record. I am chairman of the Global Vegetarian Organization, All Pakistan Medical Association UK, and recently we have developed World Doctors Alliance in collaboration with thousands of health professionals across the world. Recently, we had a very successful webinar, which has been viewed by millions of people across the world. I am standing for the cause of the humanity, especially in the current situation of the devastating effect due to coronavirus and its restriction imposed on the public. Many thanks.
Doctors aren't allowed to question COVID-19 in public. Material containing the truth about the alleged disease and the vaccine is banned. In the last year, I've been demonized and lied about, and a 50-year career and reputation trashed by those promoting a pandemic that never was and a vaccine that was never needed. The whole COVID-19 scam is, as I said in March 2020, the greatest hoax in history. The principle of informed consent is essential in medicine, but patients now having vaccines can't give informed consent because they aren't being informed. Thank heavens for sites such as Brand YouTube, which carry uncensored videos by doctors who've been censored or banned elsewhere.
My name is Professor Dolores Cahill. I'm a molecular biologist and an immunologist. And we have good news. The coronavirus and the lockdown was not as severe as was thought. We know that we can treat the symptoms of COVID-19 very successfully with vitamins D, C, and zinc, and with very safe medicines. So therefore, the lockdown and the measures like quarantining, social distancing, and masks were not necessary. And also, a vaccine is then also not necessary. There has never been a licensed RNA vaccine, and this is not because there have been many clinical trials. but that in the safety studies, there was significant adverse events and death in the animals that were used in these studies over the past 20 years.
My name is Zach Cox. I'm a holistic dentist and a homeopath. I'm a founder member of the World Doctors Alliance. I believe that the pandemic is fundamentally over and was so in the summer. I also firmly believe that there is no long-term safety data on any of the COVID vaccines. This means that they are essentially experimenting on us, which is against the Nuremberg Code. I will not be taking the vaccine.
Hello, I'm Dr. Anna Forbes. I'm a UK medical doctor here representing the UK Medical Freedom Alliance. This is a growing body of doctors, scientists, academics and lawyers. We believe that there has been an overestimation of the public health risk from SARS-CoV-2 due to misrepresentation of data and inappropriate use of the PCR test. We call for the preservation of informed consent, medical choice, and bodily autonomy. As doctors, we believe this is absolutely crucial to maintain. Thank you.
I am Ralph Sundberg, MD, PhD, former associate professor in transplant surgery at Karolinska Institute. My opinion of this coronavirus crisis is that the PCR test is inaccurate. It actually causes so many false positives. So we are scared to vaccination, and I don't trust this vaccine.
My name is Dr. Johan Dennis from Belgium. The corona vaccine is not proven safe or effective. There is no medical emergency. It is a fake pandemic. The coronavirus is in terms of harmfulness, mortality and transmissibility comparable to a seasonal flu, and I can only reject the extreme disproportionate measures that are taken by our governments. There is no emergency situation. It was all orchestrated to make you fearful enough to take the vaccine. This vaccine is just not proven safe. It has been developed too quickly. We have no idea what the long-term effects will be. It needs much more investigation. There is no hurry or emergency. It might possibly change your DNA. This is irreversible and irreparable for all future generations. An experiment on humanity. I would never give it to myself, my patients or my loved ones. We are no guinea pigs.
Hi, I'm Dr. Daniel.
Okay. Yan po, ang nakita nyo just a few of the doctors that are in that whole video. Dahil madami po sila all over the world, as you can see, no? And they are all highly qualified to give an opinion on this, no? At medical practitioners for the past 30 years and so on and so forth, no? And others are really saying that itong pandemic na ito is fake. At yung isa naman, sinasabi niya yung sa, I think it was Sweden, ang sinasabi niya na yung Iceland ba yun? Ang sa Ireland, yung sinasabi niya yung mga lockdowns, tsaka masks, tsaka are not necessary, and lalo lang not necessary itong vaccines. No? Tapos ang isang common denominator dyan, ang allegation nila na etong mga vaccines na lumalabas dahil napakabilis nilang nagagawa ay hindi na nila tinetesting sa mga hayop. Normally, yung mga hayop like the monkeys or dogs or whatever, no? Rats, no? Ini-injection yan tapos pinapag-aralan yung effects, no? At pag may effects, yung dati, years ago, 10 years ago, pag nakikita nila may mga namamatay, quit daw sila at hindi agad-agad ituturok sa tao. Ngayon, ito mga vaccine na ito, gumawa sila ng paraan na hindi na nila ite-testing sa mga hayop.
Kasi mabilis.
Para mabilis, no? At ituturok na nila sa tao. Kaya sabi nila, we will not be the guinea pigs. No?
Yeah.
Pero, hello, tayo ang guinea pigs dito sa Pilipinas. Tayo ang magiging guinea pigs at agad-agad na inihila na natin yan sila Duque, no? Agad-agad gusto nilang mag-import nitong mga vaccine para iturok sa mga taong bayan. Nag-iisip pa sila gagawin nilang mandatory. Yung mga narinig nyo po, wala silang sinasabi sa mandatory, no? Ang assumption dun sa kanilang explanation, dun mga narinig ng doktor, ay nasa iyo, pero warning ka na huwag mong kunin dahil delikado yan. Biro mo pag dito, mayroong mga tao dyan sa gobyerno na gusto nga mandatory, kayong mga sundalo daw ang mauuna. Kayo daw mga mahihirap ang mauuna. Bakit? Ngayong mga polis, bakit? Bakit? Hindi ba tao din yung mga yan? Ba't yung gagawin guinea pigs? At talagang gawin yung guinea pigs, lahat ng nasa gobyerno, lahat, walang makakalusot dyan kung gagawin yung banda. Tsaka babakunan nyo, hindi lang sila. Yung buo ng pamilya nila, ang pabakunan ninyo. No? Ang anak nila, apo nila, asawa nila, no? Ang kinakailangan, pabakunan mo lahat yan. Tingnan natin, ang nababalitaan po natin, may mga namamatay dyan sa baksin. At hindi lang isa, dalawa. Ang delikado, maraming mamamatay. O di, ilagay mo dyan sa mga senador, tsaka congressman, tsaka pamilya nila. Dahil silang nagtutulak na magkaroon tayong baksin. O sige, sabi ni Duque, ready daw siya magpabaksin. Okay, very good. Kung ready ka na, maski na 10 baksin dapat, pati na yung Dengvaxia. Yung Dengvaxia na itinulak mo, kailangan iturok din sa iyo. No? Pati yung pamilya mo, yung asawa mo, yung anak mo, isama mo dyan. Ito ang nakakatakot, no? At yung isang doktor, sinasabi niya, may kabuuan nito, no? Plano nito yung global hoax, no? Pagsisinungaling sa buong mundo at buong sangkatauhan. And address probably to be able to kill more people. E din sinasabi mo, itos ng yung hindi umubra na...
Hindi, kasi obviously, if kasi yung mga datos po, alam natin yung datos is taliwas or against the political policy of this vaccine. Alam po natin na yung mga nagtutulak nitong vaccine ay matagal lang tinatawag natin na depopulationist. Alam po natin na ang may tinatawag ngayon sa tawag ay Great Reset or Build Back Better. Na parang, ito na yung bagong patakaran ng mundo. Yung mga tumutulak nito, lahat sila, alam natin na gusto nila ng isang world government to determine kung sino-sino yung vaccine. So, nag-usap lang kami ni Chairman, sabi ko, parang hindi nila nagawang, parang ganon rin ang ginawa nila, sinubukan nilang gawin during the hoax of man-made global warming. Kasi ang sinusubukan nila ay isang world government that demands that you will have to decrease your industrial output. And therefore, of course, if you decrease your industrial output, you cannot support your people and your people will die. You will decrease your technological capabilities. You will decrease your planting and all of that. So it's also a depopulation style.
Yung mga pseudo-environmentalists, and we've been saying this, that the pseudo-environmentalists are anti-human because they are anti-development, anti-industry. At makikita nyo dito sa mga environmentalists, they are the same people that are leftists or mga komunista, nandyan din sa mga anti-environmental group. Bakit? Because both groups, both ideologies don't want development. If you don't want development, gusto sabihin mag-i-increase ang mortality rate mo, mag-i-increase ang mga mamamatay dahil sa kahirapan. No? So that means they are anti-human. And now, all of these things we're not doing, as much as they want to. No, it was not killing as many people as they wanted to. No?
Yes, and countries were fighting back.
Because countries were fighting
sabi
back.
nila, hindi kami sasama dyan. Delikado sa amin.
Maski na Amerika, hindi ayaw sumali dahil you cannot be anti-development. No?
Hindi pwede.
So anong nangyari? Ang posible, itong pandemic.
Kasi if you look at sino yung mga bilyonaryo, yung mga financial elite na sumusuporta dito sa environmentalism. Ganon din sila dito sa COVID na pandemic na lockdown. If we research enough,
you will see the same people.
Pareho yung mga bangko, mga organization, same po yan. In other words, nanggagaling sa isa yan. Iba-iba lang ang method nila.
Yung mga Bill Gates, yung mga George Soros, nandun din yan sa global warming. No? Kasama din yan No?
Kasi ang principal thinking po nila, ang pinakamasamang problema sa mundo ay overpopulation. Lahat sila ganun ang pag-iisip. So
they think human beings are evil for multiplying too much. But what we're saying is no. They just don't want to develop because development is able to sustain populations.
More people.
And it is only human beings that can create that development. And we create that development willfully to be able to sustain more life. Sa lahat po ng hayop dito sa creatures sa buong mundo, no? It's only the human beings that can willfully increase its population density, its relative population density. It willfully, and how do we do that? By creating through science, we create a development program that can sustain more people. Because alam natin that dami tayo, so ganyan po. And yung creativity po ng tao, it's almost limitless. Mag-uumpisa ka sa isang level, tapos gamitin mo yung level of knowledge mong yun, makakaahon ka sa the next level, and the next level, and the next level. Even in the discovery of different forms of energy sources. Ayan ang pinakaklaro na as we develop with different forms of sources of energy, our capacity to sustain a ever-increasing relative population density is the result. So the higher the science, the higher the development, the higher the population. So ganyan po ang sinasabi. Ang ginagawa nito mga ito, tanggalin mo yung science, tanggalin mo yan, at patayin mo yung tao. So you can see what we mean by evil.
Right.
Na pinanggagalingan nito is kasamaan talaga. And these people, yung mga George Soroses, mga Bill Gates, ako, tinuturi ko sila, they are evil incarnate. They are people that were born out of evil.
Okay. So I guess we'll read our
Text messages.
Our text messages.
The text messages, we're going to read the messages from our listeners. Sayang pati na yung mga nawala sana, no? But their opinions are not necessarily ours, but we reserve the right to read them to the public in the interest of freedom of speech.
Okay. Angelo Redadia. Magandang gabi po, Sir Butch. Solid ang ating katipunan sa RMN DZXL 558. Taga Manila. Merry Christmas, Happy Sunday, stay safe. God bless, Malolos, Bulacan. Escalating. Okay. London, Pag-Yunan. Magandang gabi po, Sir. Pahingi naman ng pamasko. Watching from Bicol.
Magpalitan tayo. London.
Elizabeth Angonia Bitco. Good evening po. I'm watching from Mindanao, particularly in Barangay Upper Lumabat, Balungon, Sarangani Province. Okay, nice to hear from you. Mario Denosta, watching from Cagayan de Oro City, from DXCC RMN, Cagayan de Oro.
Thank you.
Freddy Oredina, present. Cesar Soberano, mabuhay ang KDP, ang tunay na Pilipinong patriotiko. Cesar Limon, good evening. Alfredo Oredina, without vaccine, survival rate is 99.99%. Why make it a pandemic? Many ways to prevent disease and shoo away virus. Correct. Giancarlo EY, 6 people are dead during Pfizer trials. Correct. Mary Grace Quintayo, tanong lang po mga sir, hindi pa ba ito nakarating sa Pangulong Duterte? Ay, nako. Gloria Rodriguez Seibert, magandang gabi po, watching from Seibert, I guess. Watching from Germany, always watching you live streaming. Thank you. Alfredo Redina, DC rally. Oo nga.
May rally pa ngayon.
Oo, nag-rally ngayon the Washington for Trump also. Grabe rin, ang dami rin tao. So again, you go to Right Side Broadcasting Network, yung live coverage niya, ang ganda. And makikita nyo po. Tsaka, panoorin nyo rin, yung today kasi was the Army-Navy, traditional Army-Navy football game. American football game. Alam mo, yung Army, college, university, then Navy versus. So, rivalry daw yan. Armed forces yan. Si Trump pumunta doon. At grabe po yung reception niya. Isang buong stadium na puro future leaders. Kasi West Point Stadium yun eh. Grabe.
West Point tsaka Annapolis.
Oo, pero it was held in the West Point. Grabe yung tanggap nila kay Trump. Grabe talaga.
Saan yun? Sa Breitbart?
Breitbart and other online sites. Tignan niyo po yung reception. So, Rodavite Pariabas, good evening po, Sir Butch at Sir Itos. Mabuhay po kayo. Ano ba itong Congress? Puro hearing na lang, walang kinakasuhan at nililinaw mga ebidensya nitong mga kamatayan block ng ABS-CBN. Kailangan pa watching from Subic.
Alam nyo, Rod Voigt, yung sa mga itong sa Congress, no? Puro na yan. Oo, ginagamit lang po yung airtime sa television para magpakita sa tao kasi gusto nilang maging kandidato sa darating na halalan. Ganyan lang ang intention ng mga yan. Wala silang intention magpakulong o magpa-imbestiga o ano. Yan, ganyan ang basa ko dyan sa mga yan.
Pwede Ordina, in Canada, a bill passed for mandatory vaccine.
Kasi yan si Trudeau, medyo sila yan. Tandaan nyo, siya yung isa sa una, Build Back Better.
Yeah. Biblical Pinoy, ano po ang Great Reset? In short lang po, medyo kasi wala tayong time, but short lang, ito yung pinupush nila na plano para sa mundo. Na Great Reset, parang tanggalin lahat ng current financial setup, economic setup, tapos umpisa ulit tayo. Lahat zero. Pero delikado po yun kasi namumuno dyan yung mga financial elite. Saka yung mga sinasabi nilang populist. So yun ang delikado. Pero pwede natin pag-usapan yan next week. Rain. Sir Itos, alam po niyo ang sinabi ni Trump sa storm upon us and vaccine Pfizer, aka FISA, na coded this day na sinabi niya. Oo nga, narinig ko rin yun, Rain. Magandang pag-usapan yan rin next week. Freddy Redina, wala daw mandatory vaccine at travel dapat testing. Mahal. 14 days quarantine and vaccine certificate. Ganun na rin yun. Yun ang sabi ni Chairman last week. It might not be mandatory, but it's required. Di ba? Ganun rin. Very grace-good tayo. Correct po. Bakit pag gusto na ng vaccine, marami nang namatay na kahit anong vaccine pa yan, they are all the same, nakakamatay. Yun na nga. Yeah. Very grace-good tayo. No to Vaccine Philippines. Walang magpa-vaccine. Mga media ay bayaran, kaya walang nagbabalita. Kaya may media ngayon ang sinungaling. Yun, tama. Rainier, alam niyo mga sir, na i-post ako FB about sa Rockefeller na close na ang kanilang negosyo at mass arrest yung militia at multinational militar. At binigyan ako ng community against standard sa COVID. It's obvious na sila may gawa ng pandemic. Oo nga, right? Yan yung mga post na yung itong tinatawag na big tech. Facebook, Google, Twitter, yan. RJ Avellana, mabuhay.
Buhay.
Maria Socorro Papas, Bruggen. Hashtag criminal human rights. Hashtag fight against 52 years terrorism. Hashtag truth cannot be hidden. Hashtag Lenny backdoor meeting with Satan. Hashtag NPA Lucifer Party held partnership. Infiltrated. MS Media. Icon. Inquirer.net, CNN Philippines, GMA News, TV5. They will never report what's positive, good, and progress happened during President Duterte's government. Instead, they're making a hit or mostly covering enemies of the state. CPP, NDF, Mafia, terrorist mafia cries, mind-setting the audience that they are legal criminals, spread lies, diversionary rally during pandemic, and fake news to divide the nation. What's or where's the credibility of journalism goes? Is money and power be always your priority, making the brain-dead poisoning while reading your columns, or breaking fake news to put down the government, dividing the people? No one needs you. We have social media. We're every time updated and had reliable sources, then you're trash. Meron pa siyang huling ano. Jerry Santoil. Blessed evening, Sir Butch, Sir Itos, and staff of ang Ating Katipunan concerning about political crisis and health. Rico Mercurio Channel. Mga boss, ang vaccine na darating sa ating bansa, pwede bang ayaw namin magpaturong? Dapat.
Pwede po. Kami po, hindi ako magpapaturong. No?
Hindi dito.
We'll have to be creative siguro with our reasons. But huwag kayong magpaturok. Delikado po yan sa ating kalusugan. Pati mga anak nyo.
Yes. Rico Mercurio Channel, ang taga-ibang bansa takot daw sa vaccine, but di i-cancel ni Duterte na ayaw ng ibang tao.
Ayan na nga, si Duterte, isa na rin siya nag-anunsyo ng Break Back Better. No?
Bring back.
Build Back Better. No? Tapos, isa na rin siya ng unang-unang gusto mag-import ng vaccine. Isa na rin siya nag-anunsyo na dapat siguro mandatory itong vaccine. Ito po mga ginawa niya, nakakatakot, no? At mawawalan siyang kredibilidad sa mga mamamayan pag itinulak niya talaga yung pagpipilit sa vaccine.
Saka wag kayo, hindi pwedeng i-mandatory yan. Kahit ano sabihin ng gobyerno, pag sinabi lang mandatory yan, wag kayo sumunod.
Alam niyo po,
that's wrong.
Pag yung vaccine na yan, naturukan kayo at namatay, namatay kayo, ang pamilya nyo, hindi nila mahahabla ang gobyerno. Hindi nila mahahabla yung gumawa ng vaccine na yan. Hindi nila mahahabla yung nagturok. Wala kayong habol, maski pa paano. Sorry na lang. Yan ang matatanggap nyo. Sorry. No? Tingnan nyo mabuti, itanong nyo, sino ba ang responsable dito? Kung may mangyari sa akin, sabihin natin hindi mamatay o kaya paralyze o magka-COVID. Meron ba kaming mahahabla? Dapat klarong-klaro yon. Bago na tayo pipirma na papayag tayong ma-ineksyon. Maski na hindi mandatory. hingin nyo yun. Hingin nyo yun in your protection as the doctor.
So even if you voluntary.
Yes, and there must be some sort of a decision by the Supreme Court or something that people can have redress if there is something that went wrong in the vaccine.
Right.
Because ito yung sinasabi ng 95% effective. Sorry, 5% ka eh. Ang kaso, 100 yung in-injection. Ang namatay, 95. Baliktad. Tapos sasabihin nila dito sa 95, sorry, kasama ka dun sa 5% eh. Diba?
Mali po yun.
Kalokohan yan. So you have to be able to seek redress.
Right. Paulo Antonio Pineda, mga maestro, the smart magic is flourishing in 2022. We need more DDS loyal to President Duterte to watch your advocacy. So you can inform them and they will compel the venerated conscience to the President.
Yes. By the way, while I was mentioning this thing about vaccine and that wala silang makahabla, kayong mga abogado, no? Dapat mapakinabangan naman kayo ng tao. No? Hindi lang yung public attorney's office. Kayong mga abogado, makonsensya kayo. No? Dapat hanapan nyo ng paraan na pwede kayong maghabla kung sino man ang magtuturok sa'yo. Kung sino nag-utos at kung sinong nagturok at kung sinong gumawa ng vaccine. Pwede nyong kasuhan. Mas klaro pa kung ano na yung penalties. Yung hindi lang kaso. Pag ito ang penalty niyan. Ilang taon sa kulungan. Plus, magkano ang babayaran kung namatay yung tao? 10 milyon babayaran dito sa namatayan. Tapos meron pang ikukulong. Dapat yung mga ganyan ang usisahin itong mga magagaling natin abogado. Huwag kayong nagiging fixer lang.
Mark Sienes, kailangan mo sa akin ng vaccine. Mga demonyo sila, walang hiya. Yun na nga sinasabi natin. Basta pag sinabing mandatory, huwag niyong kunin yan. Rain Cloud, sobrang garapalan nangyayari sa Amerika. Pag hindi natin papalitan ng Smartmatic, malamang gagayahin din sa garapalan ng eleksyon natin. Ng mga dilawan at trapong mapepera. Nangyari na eh. Sa atin nga nauna eh. Starseed Reggae Team. Go ahead.
No, gagawin nila ulit sa 2022. Tama siya. Dapat mahinto ito sa Amerika pa lang.
Starseed Reggae TV2. Nazi CIA sa global monster destroying nations. The real terrorist and biggest illegal drug lord planet-wide. Chona Ladera. Saan si Chona? Nawala. President Trump. Good evening, Sir Butch and Ethos. I have been listening to your Sunday radio program for a decade now, and it was your program that I learned about the NWO, New World Order. It is happening fast now. Yes, I think President Trump's campaign team in 2016 already knew Smartmatic's modus operandi because they got in touch with the Corny Glenn. Corny Glenn spent many hours divulging election fraud here. Yes, but for two things, no? I think, Chona, yes, you're right, with the NWO, and they are panicking because Trump knows what they're planning to do, and he is fixing it. With regards to Attorney Glenn, our colleague here, our party mate, Toti Casino, is really the one who you should talk to about election fraud, because he is the one that divulged this more in-depth and broader than anybody else. Paulo Antonio Pineda, mga maestro, si President Trump mananalo pa dahil hindi ko pa alam kung ilan ang Electoral College ay malaki ba kay Biden o malapit na lang masobrahan.
Yeah. Gusto ko lang dagdag dito sa comment ni Chona Ladera. Alam niyo po si Glenn tinawagan siya dahil ito po ang binigay na pangalan ng mga taong kumukontak tungkol dito sa dayaan dito. Pero kung tignan niyo po yung si Glenn po hindi na pinag-usapan yung dayaan dito sa eleksyon na malawakan. Ang kanyang topic lang, yung kanyang ginawa sa kanya dun sa biliran. Sa biliran na Leyte. At ang alam namin, itong sabi sa akin nila Toti Casino, yung Smartmatic hindi naman ginamit dun sa biliran Leyte. Ang Smartmatic ginamit dito sa national elections, no? At hindi ginagamit po dun sa biliran Leyte. Kanya hindi nga alam kung paano naipasok ito dahil kumandidato si Glenchong. Yun lang ang gusto ko idagdag para nasa tamang konteksto itong ginabi natin.
Yeah, and then I think the statement that Trump's campaign team already knew because because of Attorney Glenn Chong.
No.
Hindi po totoo yan.
No.
So it's actually they knew it because they knew. And Glenn Chong was interviewed by a reporter, not on Trump's team. And not on anybody, but a reporter lang kasi nga narinig about his situation. And Smartmatic has been active here in the Philippines, so syempre.
Right.
Okay, so that's the whole case. So, okay, yun na nga, may maestro si President Trump mananalo pa dahil hindi ko alam kung ilan ang electoral college niya. Kay malaki ba kay Biden o malapit na lang masobrahan? So,
well, hintayin na lang po natin itong mga darating na panahon. Konti na lang, mga ilan araw na lang. Makikita natin kung anong resulta. No? Labanan po yan. Yung si Trump, dinaya. Nang gusto natin malaman kung kaya nang ibaligtarin ang lumabas dito sa eleksyon na pandaraya. Kung hindi niya kakayanin, problema po yan, hindi lang ni Trump. Problema po yan ng bansang Amerika. Problema ito ng tao sa buong mundo. No? That's why we hope that Trump is going to win. No?
Chana Ladera again. Sirs, you are correct that the Trump team allowed the fraud to happen while documenting it so that people will witness the steal themselves. May you never tire exposing the truth.
Thank you, Chana.
Antonio Luna, kung ang Smartmatic ay nagawa nila sa Amerika, mas lalo lang nagagawa dito sa Pilipinas. Kailangan alisin na yung Smartmatic. Love God above all, Harilla. Ask ko lang, di ba kayo mga bayaran ng Yellow Tards o makabayan, bulok na mga sinungalin sa sambayan ng Philippines? Malamang bayaran.
Alam mo, yung pangalan mo, Love God above all, Harilla. Parang hindi akma dito sa komento mong ito. No? Next one.
No Sales. Tila, Marxistang hindi halatain si Lyndon LaRouche, aka Lynn Marque. Super idol niya si Rosa Luxemburg. Communist Armed Struggle. Parang National Democratic Front 10-point program. No, that's not true.
Mahina itong research mo. Pumunta ka na lang sa LaRouchePub.com. Wag mong i-Wikipedia yan. No? Pumunta ka sa LaRouchePub.com o kaya LaRouchePac.com. No? Tapos makikita mo talaga yung mga datos at mga publications, no? At mababasa mo kung ano talaga yung mga sinasabi niya.
Yes, that accusation or that statement is the same charges that the FBI leveled against LaRouche.
Yeah.
So you have to go back to what LaRouche is, what his thinking was, the philosophical and background of the basis for his ideas. And makikita niyo po, hindi po siya Marx.
At saka yun sa FBI, tinan nyo, si Donald Trump. Sino bang nagsisinungaling tungkol kay Donald Trump? Ang CIA tsaka ang FBI.
Correct.
No?
Correct.
Hindi porque sinasabi nila at nakukita nyo to sa mga Wikipedia, yun na yung katotohanan. Mag-research ka at hanapin mo yung sinulat ng tao. Yung what he authored, then you will understand.
Right.
Pero yung sinabi nito at sinabi niya, he is reported to do that, wag niyo pong binabasa yon, basura yon.
Starseed Reggae TV2. COMELEC is an authoritarian structure one-man show and should be abolished ASAP.
That's right.
Donna Ladera, only the KDP slate and Amy Marcos were in my ballot 2016.
Thank you.
It is sad that the majority of Pinoys can't recognize candidates who will truly serve their interests. Dakal pong salamat kay kayo.
Dakal salamat.
How do you say it?
Dakal pong salamat kay kayo.
Kay kayo. Kapampangan. Motojam, sarap mabuhay. Alisin yang sindikatong Smartmatics. Bap Cafe, Auto Rickshaw. Good evening, Sir Butch, sa lahat. Okay. Emerson Henson, good evening, watching from Hong Kong. God bless. Ted Calans,
Calasans.
Klasiko yan. Even on YouTube, the live stream is a bit choppy.
Okay.
Well, apologize, but we will be re-uploading this in full, so you can watch. Paulo Antonio Bendia, mga maestro. Can you put it up, please?
Kalimutan na ni Ben.
Mga maestro, alam niyo ba ang ekonomista, dean at professors ng universities ng UP, PUP, Ateneo at iba pang tinuturo ng mali? Ang pag-control ng gobyerno sa public utilities katulad na lang ni Dean Mel Santa Maria. Correct?
Tama po yan.
Yeah. They teach that government is bad and private is good. Tsaka yan si Dean Santa Maria works for the MVP group. Prince Acosta, implement parliamentary system. #death penalty. Antonio Luna Jr., malaki problema natin sa COMELEC. Puros corrupt yata ang karamihang opisyal sa kanila. Paulo Antonio Pineda, pinakita pa ng dean na yan na hindi oligarko si Pangilinan at ABS-CBN at iba pa. Pero kung ang cronies ni Marcos pag-uusapan, sinasabi niya yun ang nagpapagsak ng ekonomiya. Kaya nahihirapan tayo mag-recover. Right, that's Mel Santa Maria. Yeah.
Alam niyo po, hindi porke professor ka sa UP, maano ka, you're truthful.
Yes.
Isa sa mga nakakatakot na purveyor of fake news ay ang mga professor. No? Alam niyo po bakit?
Yeah,
Because once you're in the academe, no, ang sinisira mo yung pag-iisip ng mga estudyante mo. At itong mga estudyante mo, dadalhin yan sa pagtanda nila. Tinuturo na rin yan sa mga darating na henerasyon. So it takes several generations for you to correct it if it has to be corrected. If it will be corrected. Yung pong mga presidente, pag nakaalis na ang presidente, itong mga sumusunod, pinapalitan yung mga ginawa nila. Whether it is right or wrong, papalitan nila. So parang ano na naman. Pero ang professors, yan po, sinisira nila yung pag-iisip ng mga darating na henerasyon. At pinaniniwalaan sila ng estudyante dahil sila yung professor. Dito sa mga mainstream media, meron pa rin tayong naiisip na, sinungaling ito, ganito, anggulo niyan, ganyan-ganyan. Pero marami silang dahil napakarami nilang mass media, no? Pero yung sa mga eskwelahan, kung 40 ang estudyante mo sa isang classroom, no? 40 din ang maniniwala sa iyo. No? Swerte na kung isa ang hindi maniniwala dahil sinungaling ka. Bakit kanila susundan? Dahil ibabagsak mo sila eh. Pag hindi sila sumunod sa iyo, failure sila, no? Failed grade sila. Kanya puwersadong maniwala sa iyo. This is what is wrong with these professors that are liars.
Crime Buster, nawala ang FB Live niyo, sir. Rockefeller mass arrest are ongoing now. Wow, okay. Photo jam, sarap mabuhay. Basta ako at ang pamilya ko, wala nang iboboto mga dilawan at mga party list ng NBA.
Yes.
Correct. Carlo EY, yes. Crime Buster, President Trump coded the Pfizer, as we know, FISA, are now announced and delivered the vaccine. DDT Radio Productions, kasi sa bakuna may kita. Sa pagpapalakas ng resistensya, wala silang kita.
That's right.
Yon. Okay, Joint Valdes, 99.5% recovery rate at 1.89 ang mortality rate ng COVID. Kupal talaga yung DOH natin eh. Sayang ang mga pera na ginagastos para dyan sa buwisit na COVID na yan. Gagawin ng lahat, magkapera lang sila. Yeah, not only money, but the population. Remember that. Motojam, sarap mabuhay. Naniniwala ako sa COVID na yan ay isang sindikato ng DOH. Motojam, sarap ng buhay. Naniniwala. Naniniwala ako na ang COVID na yan ay isang sindikato ng DOH. Dana Daine. Thank you for speaking the truth. I'm glad you're waking people up to what is really happening in the US and the Philippines. Right. Jane Valdes, nagkakapagtataka lang talaga. In spite dyan sa statistics ng COVID, hindi pa rin nagdududa ang Pangulo dito sa DOH. Ano kaya ang meron?
Yan, tanong ko din yan. Jane.
Jonah Ladera, the Pope has been issuing statements that leave U.S. Catholics confused. Leave us Catholics confused. I have seen pictures of him with celebrities displaying the sign of Satan.
I don't know that, Jonah. By the way, I don't know if you know, we're Kapampangan too. No? I'm from Bacolor. My father is and my mother is Angeles, Pampanga. No?
Okay. Puter Seymour. Check nyo si Fiona Rose Diamond, makikita nyo ang link na ito. Angelo Solano, itong COVID youths, paraning-demic ang gusto nilang alipinin ang sangkatauhan upang may isa kapaturan nila. Katuparan nila ang hidden agenda ng mga cabals ng New World Order. Gary Salcedo, hello Chairman Butch and Itos. Can the entire US, GOP, Senate, and House force the Federal Supreme Court to litigate the election fraud?
You cannot force, but you can make them feel what the people really want, no? And they are human beings, and they're susceptible to the demands of the people of America, no? But to force, that's another thing, no? But what is going to happen, Gary, is if the Supreme Court does not want to litigate, it will leave it up to the Congress, the U.S. Congress, to decide. And if that's the case, that is also good because the majority of that Congress is Republican, and it will declare President Donald Trump as the winner. No? But so that is probably the case because what the Supreme Court did in the Texas petition, no, was like they did not want to get involved, that it was too complicated and contentious issues, no. So nakahanap sila ng technicality at dinismiss nila dahil malakas din yung technical issue na yon, no. Yeah. Because it is in the Constitution. Thank you for watching, Gary.
Romel Oracion, frontliner ako dito sa Florida. Medyo bawal sa amin magsalita against the vaccine. At nandito na yung vaccines para sa amin na volunteer frontliner. Pero hindi naman ma-push to Trump about vaccine. Hindi kami pwedeng pilitin nila at yan ang sabi sa amin ng Republican official namin under Trump. Sabi lang sa amin nila, it's our option na huwag sumunod sa mga Democrats. Tama yun. Florida, of course, is Trump. Jane Valdes, sa mga boss sa program ito, dapat ito ang pinapunta ng mga tao para aware sila sa totoong sitwasyon ng gobyerno. Napakarami na signs of end times. Mukhang malapit na papapakilala ang Antichrist. Jonah Ladera, marami na ng demonyo ngayon eh. Jonah Ladera, the Pope is a Jesuit. Society of Jesus is one of the groups that's said to be part of the Illuminati, together with Freemasons.
Alam mo, Jonah, if you were watching earlier at nakita mo si Father Pavone, no? At questions about the Pope were asked. No? At maganda po yung sagot ni Father Pavone. That whatever it is, kasi nag-tweet ang Pope with regard to certain things or he says certain things, it is, sabi niya, it is as long as it is not matters of faith and doctrine, no, we are free not to agree with the Pope, no, and whoever had advised him will have to answer for their wrongdoing. No? So, ang tayo, steady lang tayo sa ating pananampalataya. No? We just stay solid with our faith. Because our faith is not dependent on the Pope. No? Our faith is between ourselves and our God. No? And then the Pope was there supposedly to help us. But if he's not helping us, we can bypass him and go straight to God, because that's exactly what we are able to do. No? Chona. And by the way, since Kapampangan nito si Chona Ladera, gusto ko lang ibalita sa ating mga nakikinig, ang bagong appointed Homeland Security ng Amerika, yung bagong appointed ni President Donald Trump, isa pong Kapampangan. At ang kanyang mga ninuno ay galing po sa Bacolor, Pampanga.
Okay. Starseed Reggae TV2. Pinoy inventor Ismael Aviso has Alizin oral spray that kills COVID virus. Please interview him. Motojam, sarap mabuhay. Salamat sa channel na to kasi hindi ito pinapalabas sa main media. Dati akong fan ng mga mainstream media pero ngayon hindi na. Peke sila at sinungaling. Ayun, na marami nang nagigising. Jane Valdes, hindi mahalaga kay Duque ang buhay ng tao, basta may komisyon. Nagi sila ng mga tao pag namatayan sila ng mahal sa buhay dahil sa vaccine at isusumpa nila ang Pangulo. Elizabeth Olaviano, tama po lahat ng nasa gobyerno turukan, 10 ng buong pamilya sila. Pamilya sila, unahin ang mga hinayupak yung mga gustong i-mandatory ang vaccine. Correct. Manuel Eda, the manufacturers of vaccines have always their waiver. That's the problem. 95% effective. That's the waiver. Romel Oracion, 74 million Americans voted for President Trump na hinabol ni Biden through fake absentee vote. Kaya sila nahalata ng Smartmatic dahil pati patay bumoboto dito sa Amerika. Exactly.
Dito nyo natutunan yan.
Oo, maraming mga dito, ghost voters. Tona Lader, thank you for the clarification. Attorney Glenn did not discuss in detail what he told the Trump team during his interview by Maharlika 2 weeks ago. Mark Sienes, Wikipedia, isa din yan bias. Wikipedia, actually, anybody can edit. Tina Rodriguez, ang mga media ay US, parang media sa Pinas, dilawan din. Tsaka yung mga nagmay-ari, pare-pareho, magugulat po kayo. Pare-pareho lang sila. Nono Sales, nung panahon pa po nila Mentong Raurel, nung early 90s, meron akong EIF Federalist paper, care of Mentong. Yes. But LaRouche is not a Marxist. So your conclusions are wrong, Nono. Please read again. And I think Mentong, our friend, should also read again on Mr. LaRouche. Raf XB, good evening, Chairman.
No, Mentong knows that LaRouche is not Marxist.
Right. So, good evening, Chairman Butch and Mr. Itos. Thank you again for the truth. Mabuhay ang KDP. Pestamin, it's worldwide. Satan behind all this. The Great Deception, hoax. Virginia Malonzo, good evening po. Talagang dapat manalo si Trump. Siya ang magsasalba sa buong mundo laban sa mga globalist. Yun ang nilalaban niya. Paolo Antonio Pineda, ang kinakatakutan ko kay Biden, baka maniniwala siya sa human rights violation ng war on drugs at isa pa, may iniwan siyang posibleng digmaan sa West Philippine Sea at gustong patalsikin ang mga authoritarian. Okay.
Yan pong ating programa ngayon at sa ngalan po ng ating mga katipon dito sa ating katipunan at sa magagaling na staff ng DCXL Radyo Mo Nation, kami po ay pansamantalang nagpapaalam at nagpapasalamat na sinamahan niyo kami ngayon ang ora de peligro ng ating bayan at ng buong mundo dito po sa ating Katipunan. Hanggang sa linggo po muli, mga katipon, dito po sa Facebook, YouTube at DZXL 558. 7 to 9 p.m. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat.